Hello, my name is Jim McGillivray and this is the Pipe Box, your source for all things piping. If you find this video useful, please give it a like and please subscribe to this YouTube channel to see more videos like this. We're going to go over some music today, and you can print out this music by going back to the description of this video on my YouTube channel. You'll see a link to a PDF there. Last time we worked through about half of the Piobaireachd, the company's Lament. We did the ground, we did the first variation, and we did the first variation doubling. Today we're going to work through the rest of the tune. We're going to play the TOA Tripling, the TOA proper, and the Crona variations to finish off the company's Lament. First off, let's have a quick look at the whole of the tripling variation. We call this a TOA Tripling variation because we use three grace notes, G, D, and E, which we also use in the TOA movement. Here we use the GDEs a little bit differently. At the top, you'll see the abbreviation used in this variation. The three lines below all the low A's tell us that we play a GDE on low A before we go up to the theme note. The theme notes are all the same as in the previous variations, and they'll remain the same for the rest of the tune. So if you're memorizing this tune as we work through it, by this point you should have almost the whole tune memorized. All you need to do is learn the technique. The GDE is played crisply and fairly sprightly, but you don't necessarily have to play it as fast as you can. It's a rippling movement, giving the variation lots of texture, something like this. The rhythm is duple, like this. Hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-bo, hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-1, 2, hubba-da-1, 2. Don't let it become a waltz. Hubba-da-ba, hubba-da-ba, hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-ba. Your hands should be working fairly hard to play this variation well. If they aren't, you may not be playing it musically correctly. The other thing you're going to do in this variation, as we did in the variation before, is you're going to very subtly give a little bit of weight to the last note in each second bar. Hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-bo, hubba-da-bee, 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 hubba-da-bo, hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-bee, hubba-da-bo, hubba-da-bum. Okay, let's hear this whole variation played along with the transitions in and out. Now let's look at the last two variations, the TOA and the Crona. Here is the Piobaireachd Society's score showing both variations. First time through the variation, you will play the TOA movement. Second time through the variation, you will play the Crona movement. At top right, you'll see the abbreviations for both the TOA and the Crona. Note that you play a G grace note at the start of each theme note, like this. that G grace note is not written in the variation, but it is written in the abbreviations. So you're going to play your theme note with the G grace note. You're going to play a taorluath movement, and your taorluath movement will end on low A every time. No matter what the theme note is, your taorluath movement will end on low A. One of the keys to a taorluath variation is to play the note before the theme note as long as you can, and the note after the theme note almost as short as you can. Something like this. So the second you play the taorluath, you get off that low A onto the next theme note. Very much like the TOA Tripling, it's counted in duple time, like this. Ho, habadum bo, habadum bee, habadum bee, habadum bee, habadum bo, habadum bee. Don't necessarily try to play the taorluath as quickly as you can. Much like the GDE tripling variation, it's very rippling and it's a rhythmical movement. You want it nice and open. Let's listen to the taorluath variation and the transition into it and out of it. Now we come to the crunluath or crowning variation of the tune. If you go back to my YouTube channel, you will find videos that teach how to play a taorluath properly and how to play a crunluath properly. If you're new to Piobaireachd, you might want to have a look at those two videos before you do the rest of the tune, perhaps especially the crunluath. The first thing to know about a crunluath variation is that the rhythm changes from the taorluath. The taorluath variation, as we discussed, is in duple time. The crunluath is in triple time. So the taorluath is like this. Ho, habadum bo, habadum bee, habadum bee, habadum bo, two, habadum one, two, habadum one. The crunluath is like this. Ho, ba-diddly ho, ba-diddly hee, ba-diddly hee, ba-diddly. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Triple rhythm. And again, even more so than the taorluath, don't try to play the crunluath as absolutely fast as you can. Keep it open, rhythmical, and rippling. Note as well that the D crunluath and the D taorluath, for that matter, are played using a B grace note, not a D grace note. That is very typical in all pipe music. B grace note on the D taorluath or crunluath. Okay, let's hear the whole crunluath variation and the transition into it and the transition from the end of the crunluath movement back to the first line of the ground. One thing you may have noticed in the Crona Variation is that the E after the Crona movement is longer than the low A after the taorluath movement. After the taorluath movement, we pop right up onto the next theme note. In the Crona movement, we don't. It's a little longer note. It's played perfectly in rhythm. The other thing you may have noticed there is at the end of the Crona Variation, we went back to the first line of the ground. Traditionally, this is how we've always ended Piobaireachd, and we continue to do so today. Finish your Crona, back up to the first line of the ground, play it with the repeat, and that's the end of your tune. If you've never played Piobaireachd before, you'll find that it's great for your stamina, it's great for your technique, it's great for your focus. It's also good for your bagpipe. The tunes are longer than our light music tunes. This tune is 6 or 7 minutes long. Some of the longest Piobaireachds are 25 minutes long. You need to learn how to get a steady bagpipe that will stay in tune for the whole length of the Piobaireachd, and that is an additional challenge. If you have difficulty with any of the technique or anything Piobaireachd oriented, I suggest you have a look at my tutor, Piobaireachd Finger Work. It comes with all sorts of exercises teaching all the Piobaireachd technique and broader timing issues. It's available from myself or from most Highland suppliers. That's it for the company's Lament. I hope you got something out of it, and feel free to comment on this video. From me, Jim McGillivray, at the Pipe Box, good piping.